Podcast. My name is Vince Delisio, and every week our amazing team brainstorms on ideas, ultimately deciding on one topic to build the show, with a little help from people in the community, coming together to answer one question, one topic. This week, our team spent the week learning about Pat Tillman. We honor Pat's legacy by celebrating his life, his achievements, his sacrifice, with stories from three people that reflect on their experiences and what is learned about Pat's experiences. We hope you enjoy the next 20 minutes. Welcome to Overtime.
Student athlete at the University of Arizona, you know the balance between sports and academics. Pat Tillman sacrificed millions of dollars in the NFL to serve in the military. What does sacrifice mean to you as a college athlete, and do you connect with Pat's story?
Yeah, so I feel like you kind of learn throughout the years what you're willing to sacrifice and to what level. Freshman year, I was kind of just doing whatever and enjoying life. And I feel like for a point, that's fun and you're supposed to do that. Um, but I also knew it wasn't getting me to where I wanted to be. And so I needed to sacrifice, a lot of late nights, of just so I can go to sleep, honestly, and just stuff like that. Um, and sometimes it's things that you don't really want to do, but it got me to places in my career that I really wanted to get to. So in the end, I felt like it was the sacrifices that I made that were important to me. So I don't know. I feel like I was happy with those sacrifices, but I don't know, to each their own. Some people don't think it's worth it. So
Yeah, no, yeah, that makes sense. So how do you manage balancing diving, training, and your studies at the University of Arizona? Like what strategies do you use?
yeah, I feel like it's honestly, it really is easy for me because I love what I do. But I mean, some people do college because they get money, and that's also fair too.
Mhm.
But it makes it easier because I love the sport, and I love my classes, and just being able to. I found that once I got to college, my procrastination went out the door. Like I stopped procrastinating because I was like, all right, I have something to do. Like I'm doing it now because I'm gonna sleep later. Like this stuff like that, I kind of just doing it right then made it a lot faster and got me to do things a lot easier rather than 11 p.m. right before it's due.
Yeah. So you've been named a Scholar All-American, which is an incredible achievement. Do you ever question the sacrifices you make to excel in both diving and academics?
Um, I might have questioned it if I didn't get to that level.
Hmm.
Because I would be like, maybe why is it worth it all putting all this work if I wasn't getting to that? But the fact that you're right, I did get Scholar All-American and I did do well in diving in the end. So I felt, yeah, those
Hmm.
those were necessary things that I had to do.
Yeah, you felt like it was worth it. So
Yeah.
do you have any regrets or anything that you would change?
No, no regrets. I feel like I just kind of found my groove and what I enjoyed. And if I needed to go out and see friends, I did, but it wasn't like an all-nighter type thing that I would
Mhm.
do freshman year. And I felt like that's just really important, kind of knowing your body and knowing your brain and kind of knowing when you do need to go out and seek those friendships and then also when to reel it back in. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So diving, I'm sure, requires a certain mental toughness. How do you train yourself mentally, and do you draw inspiration from people like Pat Tillman to stay focused?
Yeah, I definitely look up to a lot of people, maybe like Pat or people more specific to my sport. We do a lot of mental training. I specifically work with sports psych, but also right before our championship meets, we had team, just our diving team, and week by week we would go through a lot of mental performance mindsets because we're getting prepared because diving is so mental. Like by the time you get to these championship meets, your body knows how to do these dives. So it's basically how are you going to handle this stress and achieve what you want to achieve. So
Hmm.
yeah, so
Yeah.
using people like Pat or using people more in my sport that I can more relate to um, makes it easier because I know it can be done.
Yeah, for sure. And the last question I have for you is Again, as someone excelling in both sports and academics, what advice would you give to young athletes about managing sacrifices and commitments in college?
Yeah, I would say just figure out what your goals are and determine what you need to do to get there. I feel like if you have such a loosely idea of what your goal is, you're never going to get there. But if you know what you want to achieve and you know it's, actually feasible to get to that and you have the community backing you up, there's no reason you shouldn't get there. And just, I mean, yeah, there's injuries and things that we go through, so there are possibilities that you won't get there, but if you are healthy and you're working towards it with these goals, like I don't know, like these sacrifices are worth it and you should like if you really want to get there, you'll get there, I feel like.
Matt Ross here for Varsity Sports, here with Vinny Costa on the Varsity Overtime podcast, where our subject today is Pat Tillman. Vinny, Pat Tillman gave up a promising NFL career to serve his country. How does his decision personally resonate with you coming from a military family?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, like I come from a background of a lot of military family, grandparents, great-grandparents all over. So, yeah, his decision, I mean, such a illustrious career he was having in the NFL, such a legacy he has at ASU. And so for him to make that decision to kind of leave that and go serve really hits deep for me. I mean, it just kind of resonates a lot and just makes me feel like he was just kind of was in a situation where he had such a promising career and he had a pathway that he could have taken. He decided to give that all up to like serve and protect us and protect this country. And I know it came after such a difficult time in 9/11, but for him to do that just shows a lot of like leadership and courage and like courageousness to go say, hey, I'm going to give up on something comfortable and go serve my country and be, I don't know, set that example for us. So it really resonates with me and it hits home.
Vinny, when you hear Pat Tillman's name at ASU, what emotions or thoughts come to mind?
Oh, interesting. Definitely a lot of probably like leadership and courage and kind of, I mean, for me personally, it's like a big lead by example thing kind of resonates with me. So for a guy like that to kind of put his head down and work really hard and I can't think of the right word, but just kind of do his thing and not let kind of these outside factors and everybody else kind of influence him. It's like when you hear that name, it's like, okay, you're talking about somebody who's really illustrious and really kind of set a standard at ASU for like what we want to achieve and what we want to do for like all the generations to come. So
Piggybacking off of that, how would you describe the importance of Pat Tillman's legacy to the ASU community? Obviously, you mentioned lead by example, but what other things come to mind when you think about his legacy at ASU?
Yeah, I mean, you see like statues and names and jerseys and stuff all over the place. So he definitely has had a huge impact on the school for sure. I think one of the things that's tough though is I feel like some of us younger generations and new students coming through don't necessarily know a lot about Pat Tillman and his legacy, which is kind of sad. But it definitely, like I said, just kind of that courage, that courageousness, that kind of pedal to the metal, nose to the grindstone, whatever the right terminology is. They're just kind of working hard and just doing your own thing and just leading. Yeah, mainly.
So you kind of already answered it, but what impact do you think Pat Tillman's story has had on students that may not have a direct military impact or, like you said, know his story or live through his story?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton of students who necessarily don't know a lot about him. I feel like most people that I've talked to know at least something, so they have a general concept, and definitely the people who know more and have been influenced by it have a greater respect for him and for like the sacrifice he made and the things he did. But I mean, like you said, I think it would be great too to kind of influence some of those younger kids and some of the new people that are coming in, like the freshmen that don't necessarily know who Pat Tillman is. They might be from out of state or whatever, so they don't understand kind of the Arizona situation. But yeah, I think he's had a huge impact on those who know a lot, and maybe not a lot of impact on some of the people who don't know as much. But I think that's something that we should try and change for sure.
Pat Tillman is known for his humility, leadership, and courage. Which of these traits do you feel like the ASU community upholds the most in his memory?
I mean, I've said it a lot so far, but I think it's definitely leadership for sure. I think, I mean, his example, like both on and off the field, and like I mentioned before, like you said, like leaving that NFL career to go into the military, like that just shows you what a true leader is. Somebody who understands the role, understands the influence that they have, and can kind of go out there and lead by example and set a stage to where like people will look up to him and understand like, okay, that's the standard, and now we got to go follow that standard. So definitely leadership for sure.
Pat's jersey number 42 is memorialized at ASU. What does seeing that tribute around campus mean to you as a Sun Devil?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool for sure. I mean, as a big sports fan, like retiring jerseys, if somebody gets their jersey retired anywhere or for any league or any organization, it means a lot. So it means that they truly did something that was worth it. And so to see his number around, and have that constant reminder of who he was and the standard that he set, like I've been talking about, just is, it's kind of that constant reminder of like, okay, I can be that leader. I can do something. Like it kind of helps me at least kind of remind myself of what I can reach and the goals that I can achieve. And I'm sure, I mean, it has the same impact, I'm sure, on a lot of other students and people around ASU.
If you could say one thing to honor Pat Tillman's sacrifice, what would it be?
Oh, thank you, to be honest. I think, obviously, he's not here today, but I think if he was here and if I had a chance to kind of talk to him, I would definitely say up and just say thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you did. Thank you for the standard you set, and the impact that he's had on future generations.
All right, that's our time. I really appreciate the interview. Have a good day.
Jordyn Rivera here, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, reporting for the Varsity Sports Show. This week we're doing the Overtime podcast. I'm joined by one of my co-workers, Varsity Show Sports Show intern Chrissy Harrison, who also happens to be a veteran. This week we're focusing on Pat Tillman, the sacrifices veterans make, and just how important the military is to us and how meaningful they are to the community. Chrissy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jordan. Thank you for asking. It's a beautiful morning, and I'm excited about today's episode.
Just first, if you just want to tell us about you, what you're doing right now, and
Okay, so I'm a junior here in Houston, Texas, at Texas Southern University, and that is how I gained an internship with Varsity Sports Show. I did join the military, the U.S. Navy. Go Navy in 2005, and I did 5 years active duty, and I separated from active duty in 2010. I was stationed at Whidbey Island, Washington, which is close to Seattle and a little bit by Vancouver. And after that, I did about 9 or 10 years civilian military service in Iraq and Afghanistan as a contractor as well. So I got a lot of opportunities to work with like First Infantries and the Marines. And that was a even more of an experience as well. So a lot of time dedicated to the military, probably about 14 years. I have over 10 deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan and Kuwait and Dubai together. And I'm grateful for those memories.
that's great. And of course, obviously, thank you for that service. If you just want to tell us about what you're doing now, what your goals are, at Texas Southern, and what you want to do in the future.
Yeah, so I am in broadcast journalism right now at Texas Southern University. I'm really excited about telling stories. My theme of life is to travel around the world and tell stories and also use my experiences and things that I have learned in my life and match that with my education and just be able to tell stories in a way that people can relate to. It grabs their attention, and hopefully I can inform people and also change their lives as well. That's my passion. That's what I love to do. I also love to write as well. One of my dreams is to get a Newbery Award for a children's book because that's something that my mother has been able to accomplish, and she desperately wants that to happen for me too. So yeah, and I love sports, of course. Like if I could be on ESPN with Malika and Stephen A, that would be just like a dream come true. So I'm aiming for that.
Sacrifice, obviously, you made one of the biggest sacrifices you can make as a person. You joined the military, protected your country. How do you feel about sacrifice, and how does the sacrifice you made in the past help you today?
So sacrifice is important because it also practice humility. And in the military, it's no I in team, right? It takes the whole team. Because now, fast forward several years later, I just approach life and think, you can do anything. But first and foremost, you always got to think about how can you help the team? Because it's never just about one person. And I do believe that that was a value that Pat Tillman had himself, definitely.
Of course, of course. I mean, Tillman sacrificed millions of dollars NFL to go protect the country. I mean, one of the greatest sacrifices you can make, like I was saying earlier. Other lessons, from having served, what lessons from them help you the most today in your day-to-day life when you're doing your sports media, during school, or just doing just life? What lessons from your time and your time serving help you the most today?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, but in order to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. A lot of times, a lot of people, they rush to be a leader, even if they exemplify all the characteristics and the traits. But it's really important to learn how to be a good follower, to be able to take direction. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about, again, how can you help the team, right? So that was something that I learned throughout my military service. When you're overseas and you're deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, you never know what decision is not only going to save your life, but someone else's life. So if someone gives you an instruction or a leader gives you an instruction, you don't have time to ask, well, why are you telling me this? What's going on? You just have to do.
Well, that's great. It was great to talk to you, Chrissy. Thank you
Yeah.
for allowing me this time to get to know you, get to know your service, get to know how your service affects you. And you have a great story. And I really do believe that people need to hear it. So I'm really, really grateful that you decided to talk to me. I'm Jordyn Rivera, once again, reporting for the Varsity Sports Show. Thank you to Chrissy Harrison for joining us for this week's Overtime podcast, Chrissy. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey.
Thanks again for tuning into the Overtime Podcast this week. On behalf of our co-hosts, Matt Ross from Arizona State, Jordyn Rivera from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Liz Landen from the University of Florida, my name is Vince Delicio, and you've been watching and listening to the Overtime Podcast. See you next time.